What's up, guys? It's Jason Overthink Gaming. Today on the channel, I want to talk about emulation, specifically the MiSTer FPGA. Now, the name FPGA, I've been hearing that a lot, especially from the Analog devices. Now, Analog is a company that, to me, came out of nowhere. So I started seeing a lot of their systems because their shells. Their shells look really pretty, pristine, nice. And I started seeing a lot of retro enthusiasts were going crazy over this. The hype started being created with systems like the NT when it first came out for like $500. I was like, why is this system so expensive? And everyone would say FPGA. I was like, what the fuck is FPGA? So thanks to Level 1 Online, he got me into the MiSTer. This is my first FPGA experience. My cherry has been popped. Before we start talking about the MiSTer, I want to talk about a device like the Raspberry Pi. This is a Raspberry Pi 3B Plus in here. Very cheap emulation device, but it's very awesome. I can play some MAME ROMs in here that I just, arcade games I never thought I would be able to play. It's really awesome. But when you get to certain games like, the NES games and some of those old school games that need precise inputs, that's where this kind of falls short because of the lag. No matter what, emulation has lag. A lot of hardcore retro enthusiasts prefer, original hardware. And what this does, it uses the FPGA, which is, the same technology found in all the analog consoles and all that. And for you hardcore retro people, you guys could probably explain it a lot better. Basically, this doesn't just emulate the games, it actually emulates the hardware. That's what it does. So you don't have this lag and all this bullshit like in Mike Tyson's Punch Out, where you need that precise frame. It emulates the old school hardware, or simulates the old school hardware, however you guys want to word it. It's just a badass device. That's why Analog has become popular, because people are like, this is like FPGA. It's like real hardware. And I never understood what that meant until I got this system. Thanks to Level 1 Online, he's helped me out with this. He introduced me to a whole new world, and I embrace this world of FPGA. I feel like I'm in a certain club, but I'm making this video because I think most of you guys should get one of these. If you're hardcore into retro, like, why not? These things are easy, and that's the problem. People are intimidated by this because there's not a nice, pretty shell. Even though you guys can order one, it just seems like, oh, maybe it's hard to set up. And I want to tell you guys straight up, this is easy to set up. Now, the difference between this and Analog is Analog uses FPGA too, but Analog has their own devs like Kevin Horton or whatever team working on their cores. This is open source. Being open source means that it's free, and any developer can program these fucking cores into here, and that's what's awesome about it. The fact that it's open source means there's a community, bunch of projects going on, and once you become like part of the FPGA family, you feel like you're part of this community and you keep up with everything that's going on, and it's freaking awesome. Now, the setup, like I said, is very easy. If you set up a Raspberry Pi, you could set up one of these. What you're gonna do, go straight to the MiSTer GitHub. That's your source for everything. And you're gonna download a file, MiSTer Fusion Setup. What MiSTer Fusion does, it's your image. It's very similar to the Raspberry Pi. You're gonna wanna download a program like Etcher and make an image and then put it on an SD card. Once you get the SD card, just put it into your MiSTer, fire it up, and that's it. Like, follow the instructions. The guide is very easy, and you'll have it set up in no time. Just make sure you plug in your Ethernet cable, update it, and you're set. Now, there's people like Retro Driven. I got to say right away, Retro Driven made this easy. You're going to want to go to GitHub, check out Retro Driven, and you want to get the all-in-one setup script. Once you get that script, all you do is run the script, and that's it. It starts installing all the ROMs for the MAME that are supported in here. And then there's going to be people like Jose Tejada, Joe Tago. He's developed CPS1 cores on here. And that's what's awesome. The retro-driven script runs everything. All the updates for MiSTer, the Joe Tago CPS cores and ROMs. It does everything for you. So if you're interested in this, the first thing you're going to have to purchase is the main board of the machine. This is the DT Nano. Now, you can purchase this straight from the company TerraSec, but I would suggest going through Amazon or MiSTer Add-ons. MiSTer Add-ons is like the place to get a lot of shit. That website is awesome. You can get your Wi-Fi dongles there, Bluetooth dongles. You can get everything. The most important thing you're probably going to want to buy as soon as you buy the board is a RAM chip. This is a 128 meg RAM chip. Now, they do sell smaller ones, but I suggest you guys get the 128 right away, because with this, you can run all your cores and pretty much future-proof your system. The board's gonna cost you about $140, the RAM chip say about $60, and then you're gonna want a fan and heat sink for this. Now, there's different options. A lot of people go with the IO board, which has a fan, but the IO board has different outputs if you're gonna wanna go FPGA to hook up to composite, or component, whatever. There's a bunch of setups. People put this in arcade machines. Like I said, it's a huge open source project, so there's all kinds of people involved doing all kinds of crazy shit. But for a basic setup that you're gonna use on HDMI, you don't need that board. You can just run this plate right here that comes with the fan, the heat sink, and that's it. Like, it's a very simple setup. Now, a lot of people do buy a USB hub board setup on the bottom, but I decided to go a cheaper route, and I went with a USB hub straight through Amazon. This was only $7. It's an OTG, so you just plug this into your USB right here, and then from here you can plug in your dongles, you can plug in your controllers. The controllers you can use is endless. Now, you can use your 8-bit DO controllers, which are freaking awesome. The same thing you're gonna get with analog. Like, the main difference between this and analog is I picture it like this. This is the Android. It's open source. Anyone can develop for this. And analog is like the Apple. They have their own team there developing their cores. And this right here, I would suggest, I'm an Apple guy, don't get me wrong, but I would suggest going open source when it comes to emulation here. It's just, you got a lot more options, and it's a lot cheaper, man. You got everything in one. You don't have to buy all these systems and shit. But the one controller that I really like is this one right here. Retrobit's 8-button Sega Genesis controller. Now the guy from MiSTer Add-ons, Porkchop Express, did a spreadsheet with like every controller, wired, Bluetooth, all kinds of data showing the latency. And this controller did really good. Now, the 8-bit though, if you're gonna go with this Sega controller, which I really like the Sega setup for this system, even though for Super Nintendo games, I will play with the Super Nintendo style controller. But you're gonna wanna check the latency. And with the 8-bit though, some reason the regular M30 has a lot of latency compared to the 2.4 gigahertz. Just a little thing there in case you guys do end up going with this 8-bit though, because oh man, this is so much more comfortable than the old school Retrobit. Just the Sega Genesis original 6-button layout wasn't that comfortable. It's how old is it now? Is it like 30 years old? I don't know. This thing's freaking old, this design, but this controller, it's really good. The D-pad on both of them, I gotta say, man, it's really, really good. That's why I suggest you guys getting one of the Sega Genesis layouts. And then with NES games, I have to play with this. Like, I don't care for playing it this way, even though I will, but it just, I don't know, it works more with NES. Enough of me rambling. Let's check out what this system does, because this system is way too awesome. I want to show you guys. So here's the menu you'll be brought to. You'll see MiSTer, you'll see my network, and then you'll see the little chip. Now I'm gonna unplug my network, so you should see it disappear right here. And what's awesome about the MiSTer is you actually don't need a network like you would with a Raspberry Pi. Right here with MiSTer, you could get the SD card, throw it straight to your computer, and you can go through the files like that. I think it's really awesome. Now you can still FTP to it or do whatever, the same way as a Raspberry Pi to access the files. But, it's a lot easier. I think it's a lot more user-friendly. So if we go over here, if we hit back over here, we'll see the software version, our SD card, how much space we have left, remap keyboard, define joystick buttons. Right here, you can set up your controller for the keyboard function, so you won't have to use the keyboard anymore, which I think is awesome. And if you're not gonna use one of the buttons, just hit the space bar on your keyboard and you'll be fine. Like right here, I'll be hitting the space bar, let's do this, and our menu button, and it could be a combination of two buttons. And then I'll hit spacebar on these. We'll go back right here to arcade. Right here is gonna be all of arcade games with that one all-in-one script by Retrodriven. He'll put all the ROMs in here. It'll save you a huge headache, like big time. So all the arcades in there, you're gonna have some the unofficial right here is where I'm really interested in. This is where you'll see some unofficial stuff from Jotego, which we're talking about. His CPS1 cores right here is what it's all about. Going straight to Street Fighter, which is one of the main reasons why I was so excited about getting these CPS ROMs. This is one of my favorite games, especially Championship Edition. I have a lot of good memories with that. We'll go right here. You do get options right here to the dip switches. If you want to set free play, we'll put the difficulty to normal. Let's see, where's normal at? Continues, yes, you want to make sure that's on. So I do use the scan doubler and a custom filter, so it may not look like the way you guys saw it on a CRT TV, but I gotta say, man, this is freaking awesome. To be able to have these Capcom games is really nice, man. And he's working on CPS 1.5, soon to be CPS 2, so we're gonna have some good Street Fighter games, all these cool Capcom games. I'm super excited about this, man. This is what got me all pumped up for the MiSTer. So reboot right here, computer will have all these old school computers, stuff I know nothing about. Here's your Commodore 64, Apple II. I know nothing about this stuff. This was before my time, but it's all here for you old school gamers who want to play this shit. I'm pretty sure you guys will enjoy it. So we'll go console right here. This is where more or less I'm going to be playing a lot. You know, we got Game Boy, Game Boy Advance. We got Genesis, Sega CD, Neo Geo, which I love. NES is a must. Super Nintendo's Turbo Graphics. So right now, the NES, you know, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out would be the game for me to try, but I suck at it. So we'll go Genesis. So this game right here is, you know, Crisis 2. Now, Level 1 Online told me about this game. I didn't know anything about it. So it came out not too long ago. So it's actually a newer game for the Genesis. So you can tell right away it's just like Smash TV. Probably Smash JT would love this. But this is a game that you guys have to get. If you guys can't find the ROM, just search for it. I'm sure if you search Reddit, you might be able to find it. Because a lot of sites are trying to charge for this. Oh man, I'm promoting free stuff, right? I'm wrong, guys. I'm wrong. But this game is a lot of fun. I just want to show you guys this. You gotta check it out, man. It's almost like Contra meets Smash TV to me. Next, I'm loading Super Nintendo. Even though I talk shit about Super Nintendo, once I played Super Mario World, that was like the best graphics I saw back then. In fact, the graphics are still good to this day. Mortal Kombat 2. When I saw the arcades of this game, like the arcade of Mortal Kombat 2, there was so many people hovered around it. This was like changing my life big time. I remember like it was a school day and me and my friend went to the arcade. It was a local pizza joint and we heard Mortal Kombat 2 was there, which, you know, I knew about Mortal Kombat, the first one, but part 2, I was like, what? I didn't even know there was a part 2. So whenever this game was there and we saw the fatalities being done and you know, the character roster was a lot bigger, it was just crazy. So right here, I want to show you, you see how there's depth with the chains? If you go to the Genesis version, you're not going to see that. Oh man, I'm getting my ass whooped here. But yeah, this game for sure changed everything. It was very tongue-in-cheek with the, you know, the friendships and everything, and changing them to babalities, whatever they were called. But yeah, Mortal Kombat 2 on the Super Nintendo. Wasn't arcade perfect, but damn, it was close for its time. Last one I want to show you guys here is the Neo Geo. Like I said, this is a specific ROM set. I believe it's like Darksoft ROM. So if you type in Darksoft ROMs Arcade Punks on Google, you'll come up with an article by Level 1 Online. He does have a Google link to all. It's awesome, like all the ROMs together. It's got all the BIOS files, everything. You literally just put all those files into the game folder and it's on. Like once you run that all script, you know, from Retro Driven, everything's put in for you. It's really easy. So I never did play this game in the arcades. I did play it like MAME, like most people get experiences with. In the arcades, I did see Samurai Showdown a lot. I remember King of Fighter games, which my favorite is King of Fighters 2002 and 98. Those two games are awesome. So this one's a lot of fun. I just love the graphic style of SNK characters. They just look really cool. And then see Street Fighter characters with the same art style. It's just really awesome. Now this game, you can play it. I believe the PS1. I know for sure the original Xbox had it. Really awesome game. So I made this video today to introduce any new people to the MiSTer and just to appreciate this system and my first impressions on it. My first impressions are, I thought it was a lot of money at first. And then once I got it built, like I'm not going back to the Raspberry Pi. The only time I'll go back is to play a couple cores that haven't been made for the MiSTer yet, but just an update. Jose Teja, Joe Tego is working on CPS 1.5. Now, I am part of his Patreon. Oh shit, did I say it? I'm part of a Patreon. So I'm supporting this guy. Even though it's open source, there is drama there. People are like, oh, he's making money off it. But nah, it's just beta shit. So he is producing some of the cores beta. There is a couple issues wrong with it. But once the cores become finalized, they're free. He puts them out there. And with Retro Driven, you run that script and it's automatically going to keep up with all this shit. And another thing, Joe Tego ended up saying is that he's going to work on CPS 2 afterwards. He said the jump from CPS 1.5 to CPS 2 is going to be a lot easier than the jump from CPS 1 to CPS 1.5. And what does that mean? We're going to get a shitload of badass Capcom games. I can't wait for this. Like I said, this project is open source. There's a lot of people involved with it. The community is awesome. My first experiences Man, it's so worth it, guys. Sorry, I'm excited about this, and it's just a this video had a lot of passion behind it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, please drop a like. If you guys are new to the channel, please consider subscribing. I'll be catching you guys soon. Peace out.